My palms are a little cold under the studio light, and I can hear my heartbeat nudge the silence like a cautious drummer tap. Wait, tap while the red tally lamp tells me this is real time and no one will rescue me with a cut. I'm breathing in the faint scent of dust and cables and something sweet from the makeup room, and I think about how strange it is that a place full of machines can feel like a room with a single chair and a single listener. You, Army. This is our room tonight, and if you already have a title in your head for this little confession, let it sit beside us like a folded coat on the armrest. I'll weave it into this first thought because I want to speak as simply as possible. I am here now saying what I haven't said out loud. And in a few minutes, I'll tell you what I've been trying to let go, what I loosened from my grip because it's time. But for a moment, I want to stay with the sound of breath returning to its normal size. Do you hear how it changes the lighting? Do you feel how the floor steadies when I stop pretending I'm a statue and admit that I am just a human whose fingers get nervous and whose heart does what hearts do? Sometimes I imagine the camera as a doorway left half open. I'm not hiding, but I'm not rushing out either. The half open door means I trust you enough to let the hallway light in, and I trust myself enough to stay where I am and let you come closer. You know that feeling when a big day is coming and you want to control every angle, the hair, the timing, the laugh, the way the mic catches your voice, and yet control keeps slipping like trying to carry water with your hands. I am living inside that feeling lately. And while I won't touch anything private or name anyone who didn't agree to be here, I can talk about something universal that has been changing the way I work, the way I rest, the way I walk into a room. I'm learning to loosen my grip on being the center of everything, and I'm learning to trust the people who stand just outside the frame. There are two voices in me. One says, keep the tempo you always kept, stand where you always stood, smile on cue, proof that nothing ever ends. This voice is loyal. It wants to guard the bridge we've built together. The other voice is softer but more insistent. It says, change the tempo because your breathing asks for it. Step 2 inches to the left and discover a new angle of light. Let someone else count in the band and feel how the song can live without you pushing every note. The argument between them is tender and exhausting. What's at stake is not a chart number or a headline. It's my inner room, the place where I speak to myself honestly. If I ignore that room, the music sounds right, but feels wrong. If I listen, the music risks being new. New is frightening. New also keeps me alive. I practice courage in small ways. I close my eyes before a take and picture a rhythm that comes from walking, not running. I hand a line to a teammate and say, you lead this part, and I mean it. I step back from a plan that is perfectly engineered and ask what would happen if we let one corner breathe. When I do that, something changes in the room that you can't measure on a board. The air gets kinder. And you know me, I like to joke when things get too serious, so I'll say something about my shoulders being diva level dramatic or my stomach auditioning for lead percussion. We laugh, the joke breaks the spell. But under the laugh, there's a new rhythm, a human rhythm, and it tells me you can trust them. They are here for the same reason you are. There is something else I want to admit, and I'll keep it respectful and simple because it belongs more to feeling than to facts. In our world, we meet many artists. Some are comets, dazzling, then gone. Some are stars you keep noticing even when you think you've seen all their angles. Lately, I find myself quietly inspired by a colleague whose presence across screens is not just loud but inventive, who builds waves that others ride a week later, who treats attention as clay and shapes it into something that looks like a new path. I admire that. Yes, I also notice beauty because I have eyes and a heart and a sense of aesthetics. But what holds my attention is the pattern, the way innovation arrives, like little sparks that don't beg, they simply glow. I won't say names. It isn't about gossip. It's about acknowledging that being moved by someone's craft and aura can wake up your own courage. We're all influenced by someone. And sometimes that influence is the gentle permission you need to try a new rhythm without apologizing for it. Let me bring you into a small moment, a vignette, so ordinary you might miss it. Late night, the practice room hums at a low volume, like the building is asleep and only the lights remember to breathe. On the floor, a folded piece of lyric paper, the corner softened from being turned too many times. On the stand, water, now the same temperature as the room. I'm alone, but not lonely. I sing the same line 3 times and can't find the landing. On the 4th try, I stop halfway and listen not to the echo, but to the silence after it. In the window, a line of mourning is waiting, like a shy guest at the doorway. I stand there, hands in pockets, and let the idea arrive without being chased. The best part of this life is the people in it, and I don't want to spend my days wrestling the music into shape when I could be letting it shape me with them. I pick up the paper, smooth the crease, and write one more note: trust the room. Trusting the room means trusting the team. And trusting the team, I'm discovering, is a form of love for the mission. When I let you hold a corner of the weight, I'm not stepping back from us. I'm stepping closer to the truth that identity is not the same as a role on stage. Identity is the breath I wake up with, the kindness I extend when the day runs long, the way I look at a teammate and say with my eyes, I see you. When I guard my role too tightly, I shrink. When I loosen my grip, I feel my whole shape again. The goofy edges, the serious center, the man who finds beauty in ridiculous tiny things like a perfectly wrong dad joke that somehow lands perfectly right. There's a shadow to all of this, the fear of purpose at hand, the big goodbye that we build a mountain around. But I've been reframing it in my small, stubborn way. Goodbye is not surrendering a dream, it's changing how you carry it so the dream doesn't crush you. Tenja doesn't apologize when it makes room for Paji. It just slides the colors gently across the sky, and the houseplants in my place don't debate the science of dawn. They just turn their faces to the soft light like, oh, you're here. Maybe the work is like that. Maybe I don't need to fight the clock so much as greet its passing with a bow and say, I will meet you in a more honest tempo. You want the thing I promised at the beginning, the confession I've been circling. Part of what I'm letting go is the need to control every frame. I'm learning to hand the camera to hands I trust and live inside the scene instead of arranging it from the outside. I'm letting go of being the sun and choosing, for once, to be a window. The light that passes through is no less bright. It just proves that rooms can glow even when you stop trying to be the source. And yes, I'm letting myself be inspired openly, gratefully, by art that expands the map, by a presence that is both fierce and elegant, by beauty that is more than a surface. If admiration is a compass, I'm following it toward work that breathes, toward a life that doesn't need constant applause to feel like mine. I tell you this now because it's safer to say the truth before you think I've drifted. I'm not drifting, I'm arriving. I keep talking, but the room feels softer now, as if the floor moved closer and the light learned my name. It's a relief, honestly, to say that releasing the center spot doesn't make me smaller. It makes me truer. There is a strange tenderness in learning that the story doesn't weaken when you step to the side, it widens. And when I say I'm trusting the team, I don't mean I'm disappearing into the curtains. I mean, I'm letting their excellence pull mine forward. The first days felt like standing in an elevator with mirrors on every wall. Too many versions of me staring back, each one adjusting his sleeves, each one asking who leads. Then something quiet happened. I watched a choreographer draw a path with one finger, and I followed without issuing a single instruction. The step clicked, my shoulders dropped. I laughed, really laughed, because the move felt like a hand placed gently on my back, not a rope around my neck. That is what trust does to a body. It changes the weight of your name. You ask, maybe not with words, but with the way you show up, how it feels to stop needing to be at the center of everything. It feels like my lungs finding their original dimension. It feels like walking into a studio and greeting the crew by name before I check my reflection. It feels like hearing a harmony I didn't design and saying, keep it, it's better, without tasting envy on my tongue. It feels like the difference between clenching and holding. Clenching is fear, holding is care. I want to hold this work, hold these people, hold this life, not as a trophy I must polish every hour, but as a living thing that sometimes needs shade, sometimes needs sun, sometimes needs a song that makes no sense until the last chorus. And yes, because I promise to be honest without stepping on anyone's privacy, part of my courage comes from watching someone outside our circle shape the wind in her favor. Influence done with imagination teaches me that attention can be stewardship, not hunger. It shows me how to experiment in public without tearing myself apart for being imperfect. Beauty draws the eye, innovation keeps it. When I say I like what she does and I find her beautiful, I mean it in the roundest sense. The way craft and aura and timing line up into something you want to applaud even when the room is empty. That admiration doesn't take anything from me. It returns me to the playful kid who once sang into a hairbrush and didn't worry if he was allowed to dream that big. There's a lesson that keeps threading itself through my days, and I don't list it, I live it. Letting go is not weakness, it is strength that trusts itself. My identity is not my job description. It is the way I keep promises when no one is watching. Silence is not an absence. It is a room where my own voice can come home and sit down. Trusting the team is not outsourcing. It is love for the mission in a language other people can speak. And every goodbye hides a hello, not to a new costume, but to a fuller self who knows how to walk off stage and still be whole. I promise I'm not trying to be wise. I'm trying to be clear. The pace I choose now is allowed to be human. That means I won't always be louder. Sometimes I'll just be closer. It means I'll say yes to things that feed the work and no to things that starve the person making it. It means when my schedule looks like a game of Tetris played by a caffeinated ghost, I'll pause and step away and let someone else hold the next piece. And I'll come back smiling because the line kept moving without my hands on every block. That's not abdication, that's trust. Let me return to another tiny scene because tiny scenes save me. Early morning again. A studio window, pale gold at the bottom like tea. I'm writing on that same lyric paper, now creased in a new place. The city is quiet in that way, it only is at a certain hour, like it forgot itself for a moment and decided to start over. I think of all the times I chose the crowd over the person, the song over the silence, the outcome over the moment. Then I think of you, the way you've let me be more than a single note. I think of the team, each one a different shade of dawn. I think of the admiration that woke me up this season, not an obsession, but a respectful charge to try bolder shapes. I think of laughter, the kind that loosens your shoulders. I think of goodbyes wrapped around hellos like two palms meeting. If you and I stay honest, we'll keep finding the right tempo together. I want to arrive on stages that don't ask me to abandon the person who walks off them. I want to make music that doesn't punish me for needing sleep. I want to live the kind of schedule that leaves a chair open for the unexpected guest joy, or a new melody, or someone else's genius spilling over and coloring my work in a tone I wouldn't have chosen but now can't live without. That's how I plan to be present, not at the center of every circle, but at the living edge where I can see all the hands that make the circle possible. So here is my quiet promise for the road ahead. This is not the end, it is the end of one way. I will still show up, still sing, still laugh at my own terrible jokes, still chase that impossible perfect bite in a late night kitchen, but I will carry the dream differently, with room for air, with room for other hearts, with room for a kind of admiration that doesn't take but teaches. I will be a window more often than a sun, and I will keep the door half open so you can find me when you need to, and I can find you when the world gets loud. If you've been waiting to write your own farewell to a version of yourself that no longer fits, maybe tonight is gentle enough for it. No pressure, no deadline. Just a question I'm asking quietly from this small room to yours. What 3 words will your goodbye say?